The Jesus of John. This is sign number 2 in the Gospel of John. We're going to talk today about the healing of the royal official's son in John chapter 4. So, John chapter 4, starting in verse 46, it says this: Therefore he came again to Cana of Galilee, where he, Jesus, had made the water wine. And that's the sign that we talked about. The first sign is found in Cana as well. And there was a royal official whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus had come out of Judea into Galilee, he went to him and was imploring him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. So Jesus said to him, Unless you people see signs and wonders, you simply will not believe. The royal official said to him, Sir, come down before my child dies. Jesus said to him, Go, your son lives. The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and started off. And as he was now going down, his slaves met him, saying that his son was living. So he inquired of them the hour when he began to get better. Then he said to him, Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. So the father knew that it was at that hour in which Jesus said to him, Your son lives. And he himself believed, and his whole household. This is again a second sign that Jesus performed when he had come out of Judea into Galilee. And so we see this sign, and you want to understand the geography of what's happening here, because this is actually a really brilliant and beautiful move that Jesus makes to instigate the idea that the whole world actually needs a savior. All right, so here's what happens. Jesus, of course, was in Cana, and that's in Galilee, and that's close to where he lives. That's about 6 or 7 miles away from where he lived and where he grew up. Right, so there he is in Cana, but he goes down to Jerusalem. He's all over the place. Jerusalem, of course, is the capital. And you may remember when he's coming back from Jerusalem, at one point, Jesus crosses paths with a woman at a well. And this woman asks Jesus a question. She says, hey, so as she's starting to believe that Jesus is actually maybe the Messiah here, she says, hey, so my family, our friends, the people around us, the Samaritans actually believe that this may be a place of worship. Here we are at Jacob's well, and look around these hills. Could it be that worship will happen right here? Although we've heard from the Jews that worship only happens in Jerusalem. And that's kind of the mentality, right? The king, David, at the time, he moved the religious capital to Jerusalem. And therefore, Jerusalem became a place of focus for religion, a place of focus for worship. All of these things happen in Jerusalem. You would kind of have that mentality of, if it's fake worship or light worship, yeah, it can happen kind of anywhere. But real worship is going to happen in this one spot. Beware of the church, or beware of the attitude of a Christian that would say, worship has to happen in this place, in this building, in this spot. That's not the case. And Jesus answers this woman at the well by saying, no, the day will actually come when we neither worship here in these mountains or in Jerusalem, but we worship in spirit and in truth. There's going to be something bigger. There's going to be something greater about worship. It's on the way, right? So Jesus is going to talk about that, and we're going to see that in action here in John chapter 4. So in John chapter 4, what happens is Jesus has gone down Jerusalem, he's come back up, and he reached Cana again. So we don't know if he's maybe visiting the happy couple. They got married last time we saw them. We don't know if he's visiting family. We don't know what exactly is going on, but he's doing ministry. And as he gets there to Cana, somebody from Capernaum hears about Jesus. Now, Capernaum is not in the Israel proper kind of area, right? It's not near Jerusalem. In fact, it's about 48 kilometers away from Cana. So this royal official has a son that is hurting, dying, in fact, very, very sick. And he hears of Jesus. Who does he hear of Jesus from? I would ask you this question. Would he have heard of Jesus from you? Would you be a person that would say, here's what Jesus is doing here and here and here. Here's what Jesus is doing in my life. Here's what Jesus is doing in other people's life. Somehow, this royal official, way out of the way, hears about stuff that is going on in Israel. Hears about Jesus the Messiah. And so he begins to walk. Now, how long does it take to walk 48 kilometers with his group? He begins to walk. He's probably running, maybe riding an animal, something like that. He's going to get there as fast as he can, but it's not going to be super fast, right? This is a couple days journey. He gets there, and when he gets there, he addresses Jesus. And it almost again once again it almost feels like Jesus is chastising a little bit, but he's not, because you see he's going to heal, he's going to do a work, a mighty work, but Jesus also recognizes that his job right now is to really focus on those that are around him so that the church will spread from an inward spot out from Christ out to all the world. Right? So he comes, and he came to Cana of Galilee, verse 46 says, where he made water into wine, and there was a royal official whose son was sick at Capernaum. And when he, this royal official, heard that Jesus had come out of Judea into Galilee, that's Judea's way down south, here into Galilee, he went to him and was imploring him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. And so Jesus said to him, Jesus is going to challenge this boy, this royal official, unless you people see signs and wonders, you won't believe. Unless you see signs. So John is all about these 7 signs. And Jesus here is going to challenge our faith. He's going to challenge the way that we believe, the reason that we believe. He will challenge your faith and my faith as well. Unless you see signs and wonders, you simply will not believe. What would it take for you to believe? Do you need signs? Do you need wonders? Is faith happening in your life? Is faith growing in your life, regardless of the signs, the temporary things that happen all around? So Jesus recognizes that. He recognizes that hurt, that pain, that deficiency in our lives. And the royal official, he ignores that. He doesn't think I need to see a sign, or I need to believe better, or I need a deeper faith. He doesn't think anything like that. He's concerned for his son. I think Jesus recognizes this as well. But his concern for his son is evident, because what the royal official will say is, "Sir, come down, please, before my child dies." Which I think is also an interesting fact, because you see, in our life, what we do is we attribute down to where everybody else lives and up to where I live. Come up and visit me. Come up to my house. Oh, I'm going to go down to Denver today and see some friends. I'm going to go down to this place. I'm going to go down to that. And so when he says come down, he's actually figuratively putting Jesus on a pedestal, putting Jesus way up there. He's recognizing the authority of Jesus here. So he says, come down before my child dies, please. This is a petition. This is a prayer. This is a beg. Please come and rescue us. Please come and save us. Yep, I don't have belief. I don't have strong belief. I don't have faith. In fact, why would I? I'm from Capernaum. I'm not even a Jewish person. I don't even know this. In fact, I'm a royal person. I am a leader. I'm a ruler. And you're saying that you are as well. You're saying that you're a king. I'm a king too. You're saying you're royal. I'm a royal person too. Right? And so he makes this great transition. He's probably tried all of the physicians up in Capernaum. He's probably tried all of the help that he can get. Nothing is working. Finally, he has to surrender. And that's a beautiful thing. Again, this is something that Jesus recognizes. And so what does Jesus say? He says, go. He says, go. Your son lives. And the man believed that. And so off he goes. And remember, he has to walk a little ways. So as he's walking out, as he's walking back to Capernaum, or as he's riding back to Capernaum, his slaves and his servants meet him there, and they say, so your son is better. And at this point, the royal official, he's got a choice, right? He can either say, okay, great, that's what I'm hoping for, that's all I need, let's go on, we're done. But instead of that, he's going to attempt to grow his faith. He's going to engage in Christ right here, right? What does he do? He says, what hour did this happen? See, he's looking for reasons to attribute what's happened here to Jesus. And sure enough, the servants say, well, it happened at this hour. And the royal official says, that's the exact hour, that's the exact moment. So at this point now, he's going to do one of two things, one of a couple things, right? He's either going to go rushing as fast as he can up to see his son and say to his son, guess what just happened? Here's a miracle that I've just experienced. The exact moment that I was talking to Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the exact moment that happened, you got to feeling better. In fact, the exact moment that he said, your son lives, you started to live again. Okay, that's one path he could take. Another path he could take is he could say, go on back to my son. I'm going to go back to Jesus and I'm going to, tell him this story, right? I saw my servants and they said that my son was healed the exact moment that you, Jesus, that you actually healed him. What? So I'm just here to say thank you, and now I'm going to go spend time with my kids. Right? So that could happen, right? That's an interesting thought, because here we are with John, and John is now telling this story. He's writing this story about this sign. How did he hear about the sign? Right? The royal official, he left. He left. So how does he know that this is what happened? Well, either the royal official came back and told him, or maybe we talked about maybe that after the cross, or around the time of the cross, that royal official, he came to know Christ. He came back and he had an encounter with John and with some of Jesus' disciples, and then told that story. Do you remember this? And then later on, John would have written that down, right? Or Jesus could have told him that story. Jesus could have looked over at John and all the rest and said, so let me tell you what's happening right now. It's been a day since we saw that royal official. You remember what I said to him? I said, go. I said, go, your son lives. You didn't even need to come here. I'm that powerful. I'm that mighty. You go back home. Well, at this moment right now, Jesus could say, that royal official is talking to his servants. Here's what his servants are saying to him. His son lives. His son lives. What hour? He'll ask. And they'll say the exact hour that Jesus talked to. Wow. Okay, so we've got these possibilities for how he heard this. But the real story here is the story of belief. The real story is the story of a father who now has a chance to believe in Jesus because he's sacrificed his pride. He sacrificed his place of living. He leaves all of that to go and find and connect with Jesus. And Jesus doesn't disappoint him, right? This is an amazing thing that's happening here because it's not happening in Jerusalem, right? Again, if you go back to this woman that is found at the well, this Samaritan woman, if you go back to her, you will see that Jesus's words to her, they're coming true right in front of her eyes, right? No longer do we have to be in a place. Why is that? Because God is omni. God is omnipresent. He's omniscient. He's omnipotent. God is omni. He has it all. So he can have you in a worship service or in a healing service or in a life service. You can learn about God. You can grow your faith, whether you're in Capernaum or Samaria or Jerusalem. It doesn't matter where you are. God is always powerful. And that's the second sign that Jesus performs. The second sign that Jesus is going to perform is one that says, no matter where you are, you don't have to be caught up in the religion. Get caught up in the Spirit of God. Because the Spirit of God is working. And the Spirit of God is working in you. So I'd challenge you even to be thinking about a couple of things. One, does Jesus really want this sign to happen? Does Jesus actually want this? You know, he looks at the man and says, well, unless you people see signs and wonders, you're not going to believe. Is that Jesus' way of saying, I don't want to do this sign? Or is that Jesus' way of saying, I need you to really think about the way that signs are having an effect on you? And what else could really have an effect on you? How could God really work on you without signs and wonders? Would your belief be stronger if you didn't rely on signs and wonders to feed it and to fuel it? Does Jesus want to perform this sign right now? That's a question I'd have you contemplate. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a great day. God bless.